India is getting a new parliament building soon. The finishing touches are just being put. A new building for a new India, for a glorious future. But we cannot forget our roots, which is why our national emblem will adorn this new building. And today the Prime Minister unveiled this mammoth emblem atop the new parliament building in the national capital. Cast at the top of the central foyer of Parliament, the all-bronze emblem, along with the supporting structure, weighs 16,000 kgs and truly represents what our temple of democracy stands for. By the people, of the people, for the people. The Prime Minister even interacted with the men responsible for making this a reality, the Shramjeevis who made this dream possible.
अच्छा, आप लोगों को क्या लगता है, इमारत बना रहे हैं कि इतिहास बना रहे हैं? सबको मालूम है, लोकतंत्र का मंच बना रहे हैं। आपको पता है सबको। तो काम करने के लिए उसमें क्या फर्क, मकान बनाते हैं और ये बनाते हैं, तो काम करते समय क्या फर्क होता है? हमें घर वालों को पता है, पूछते होंगे क्या। अच्छा, आप लोगों को क्या लगता है, इमारत बना रहे हैं कि इतिहास बना रहे हैं? सबको मालूम है, लोकतंत्र का मंच बना रहे हैं। आपको पता है सबको। तो काम करने के लिए उसमें क्या फर्क, मकान बनाते हैं और ये बनाते हैं, तो काम करते समय क्या फर्क होता है? हमें घर और क्या आपको लगता है कि हाँ हमें यहाँ आए तो ये मन को अच्छा लगा है? सर, कौन सा बात बताएं?
बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है, जैसे कि सबरी माँ को कुटिया में गए थे राम भगवान, वैसे हमारे कुटिया में आप आए हैं, बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है।
देश के हर गरीब को भी लगना चाहिए उसका कुटिया है। मंदिर, बड़ा बढ़िया बात बताया आप। आपके आने से उत्साह बहुत बड़ा है और भी उत्साह के साथ काम करें। मैंने उत्साह तो आप लोगों ने हमारा बढ़ा दिया है और बढ़ा। सर, हमें गर्व है इस प्रोजेक्ट पे काम करना था।
Now, while the Prime Minister made all these gestures to make sure that the temple of democracy, as it were, or every part of it when it's inaugurated, represents democracy itself, the opposition is left seething. They said this was not about history, but it was making history for wrong reasons. A united opposition attacked the PM and accused him of trampling the constitution and being a dictator. Some even asked, why weren't we invited?
See, Prime Minister Modi's entire approach to governance is that what he deems right is right. What you say in media, what people on the street says, what young people say, that, or what opposition party says, that is not of importance. He is ruling like a Shahenshah, like a dictator.
Sandeep Dixit and the Congress party say that what is the need for a new parliament building and the old one should have been extended or modified. This is the most hypocritical stand that the Congress party can take, but it is not surprising.
देखिए, पार्लियामेंट किसी सरकार की, किसी एक पार्टी की, किसी प्रधानमंत्री की नहीं होती है। संसद भवन पूरे लोकतंत्र का है। लोकतंत्र में मुख्य भागीदार तमाम पॉलिटिकल पार्टी, राजनीतिक दल उस समय का नेतृत्व होता है। और अच्छा लगे कि अगर सब इसमें आए, लोकतंत्र में जो भी महत्वपूर्ण व्यक्ति हैं।
They criticized even the museum that the Prime Minister Modi dedicated for all Prime Ministers, which is from Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru right up to now. They criticized that also, but it is absolutely bipartisan. So at the end of the day, if today they say why we are not invited, can they at least for once formally say that they support the project and they like to see India moving in the right direction?
What is interesting to note, though, that these same people who are irked with the invitation not being extended also were the very same people who were opposing Central Vista to begin with. From going to court to accusing the centre of wasting thousands of crores on a vanity project, to those who had even called it that this is the PM's Vista. This is about the PM's own residence being made on a grand scale. Now that the project has come to fruition, when the result is in front of the people, suddenly everyone wants to stake claim to it. Okay, so why the sudden change of heart? Joining us on the debate, Tom Vadakkan, national spokesperson of BJP, Ratan Sharda, author, Meeta Chakravarti, political analyst, Bishwajit Deb, spokesperson of Trinamool Congress. Bishwajit Deb, one of the members of parliament of your party, said that the emblem weighs less than the arrogance of the BJP. Why do you think that this is emblematic of the BJP's arrogance?
Good evening. Well, you see, this particular issue relating to the national emblem, I would like to say that disrespecting the opposition opposition is nothing new for BJP. Since the time BJP came to power in 2004, they have been bulldozing the ideals and principles of democracy in any manner they think fit and proper. Whatever they do, they think that they are doing right. Whatever the government led by Modi ji is doing, they think that they are doing right, and whatever the opposition says, it's wrong. See, basically disrespecting the opposition is the basic principle of BJP, and that is what they are doing from the very first day, since 2014 when they came to power.
Okay. But
the
sir,
way they have bulldozed,
the Trinamool Congress was among the parties which had said that Central Vista shouldn't be made. Maybe that's the reason why you weren't invited today.
Well, let me complete. See, we definitely want employment for the unemployed youths. We definitely want more industries to come up in India. But similarly, as far as this particular Central Vista project is concerned, we oppose that because the amount involved in this particular project is not worth right at the moment.
But sir, this emblem is a part of Central Vista.
The government should have concentrated in other works. The government should have concentrated in the unemployment issue.
Okay, but if you don't like the Central Vista, then you don't like this emblem either. Then why do you want to come and inaugurate something that you anyway don't like?
Ultimately, they are doing it. It is sheer arrogance of the Prime Minister, arrogance of the government, which is being reflected in this particular inauguration program.
So you're saying I didn't want it, but now that you have it, I might as well be there and inaugurate it.
It's most unfortunate. Democratic norms and democratic principles. You see, it indicates that opposition should be involved in each and every process. And we expected the Prime Minister to invite the opposition parties.
Okay, interesting. The democratic norms dictate, Tom Vadakkan, that even if they are your trenchant critics, at least you should have been graceful enough to have them around.
Pardon me, I could not get you.
Particular party today, an MLA or I think it's an MLA, says the situation in Sri Lanka will be repeated in India and Prime Minister Modi would have to run away. My God. These are the same well-wishers of the Prime Minister now desired to share stage with him on an issue. Now, the whole issue, Padmaja, is work in progress. Now, this is, I mean, nobody is saying that the final inauguration, they will not be called. Yes, they will. But these elements, they need to balance out. And now I can read to you, on Agnivir, they went to the extent of saying, well, if Agnivir takes place, the Prime Minister will have to watch out. He might meet the same fate of the former Prime Minister. This is the same Trinamool Congress. And these are the people who are loving to be there on stage with him. And these are the same very people who every day curse him. That's not their issue. Our Prime Minister is gracious enough to invite them all.
But they weren't invited. Why didn't you call them?
No, this is just a work in progress. The work is being done. It is, I mean, you can't do a running commentary on something that's being done.
Mr. Dev, work in progress. You will be there for the final ribbon cutting.
What are you rushing
Problem is
about?
BJP party do not have respect for the democracy, and neither do they have any respect for the opposition parties. It is from the day one. It is from the day one
when they declared emergency. Only remember that. Do you remember the mother of your party, Mamta Ji, who was part of the Congress party when emergency was declared? So how much you care for democracy can be established by that.
It is another show.
Mr. Vishwajit Dev.
But just out of curiosity, Mr. Dev, is it democratic for an MLA of your party to say, and I quote, जो भी श्रीलंका में हुआ वो यहाँ मोदी के साथ होगा, जैसा चीजें इंडिया में हो रही हैं, मोदी को भी भागना पड़ेगा.
I'm sorry, I don't know what our party MLA has said, but I can say.
The left hand doesn't know what the right hand does.
That is BJP is showing disrespect to the opposition each and every instance.
Forget
And
disrespect. We are the most gracious party
the democratic
that
norms.
has sabke
They don't
saath,
respect
sabka vishwas.
democracy. They don't respect.
We
the
take
ideals of
everybody
democracy.
along, unlike you. You
bulldozer.
can criticize. You
Since
can
the time-
criticize Durga Ma, and you have nothing to say about it.
Okay, what do you make of the
criticize
disrespect?
Kali Ma.
Let's get a non-political view on this. Ratan Sharda, what do you make? It doesn't take much. A courtesy.
Well, I agree with you. It just needs a courtesy. But what kind of courtesy opposition has shown so far? There is a word in Hindi called Vigna Santoshi. You know, when there is some wonderful program going on family, there are people coming on the door trying to create nuisance. This is the issue with which Congress and other people, opposition, have their minds. For example, some of their friends went to High Court. What did High Court say? They put a 1 lakh penalty on the person who filed the PL. High Court said it is duty of the democratic government to create a structure that is befitting to the largest democracy. What did Congress say? It says some are laying, the stone laying ceremony of this parliament is like playing DJ music inside a funeral ground. And what values are being they said values are being trampled upon. So do they mean that any agitation will be used to stop something? Thirdly, in 2012, their own government passed a resolution for a new parliament building. That was the demand of the speaker of that time, Congress government at that time. And also, when you talk about their own senselessness in Maharashtra, during the COVID period, 900 crores were laid out for a new MLA hostel of 10 lakh square feet. And finally, when they talk about their own, behavior in the democracy, you forget that we have opposition CMs not coming to welcome the Prime Minister when he comes in the state. TMC did the same thing. So if you don't respect the democratic institution, don't come and give lecture to us.
Interesting. You talk of respecting the opposition, but you don't extend the respect to the Prime Minister when he comes to your state. What happened to democracy then?
I don't agree with his views, but I would like to say whatever BJP is doing is image management. It is image management.
Sir, that is fine, but you just said that the opposition has to be respected. Ratan Sharda is saying you didn't respect the Prime Minister when he came to your state.
It is not, I'm sorry to say, it is not the welfare. It is not the welfare of the nation which is going on under the leadership of
you stick to your point. Don't change the stance.
It is not the welfare of the nation for which Prime Minister Modi is working. It is only
you want employment?
Building his own image. And what he is doing is image management just before the 2024 elections.
Okay, so you're saying that this emblem is nothing more than image management. So first you have to make up your mind. Do you like the central vista or you don't like it? Do you want it or you don't want it?
The fact remains that the government has bulldozed. The government has bulldozed this particular project by sheer majority, due to their majority. And majority is not everything. Opposition should be consulted at each and every step.
Okay, very quickly, Meeta Chakravarti, then Ratan Sharda will respond to both.
So this is something,
Meeta Chakravarti.
shown to the opposition, which BJP is doing since 2014.
Sir, you have spoken. Please, if I may make a few very quick points. Politics at its best should be an endeavor of unifying people, of taking people along. It's a fact that the opposition parties were well within their right when they pointed out that when the country was going through a pandemic for 2 years, spending thousands of crores in building a new parliament and in building the Prime Minister's office or residence or the new offices for new union ministers might be a case of misplaced priorities. Those funds and those resources could have been better spent in upgrading our medical infrastructure, in helping migrant laborers, in giving more support to a country that was already struggling.
Ma'am, that issue has been settled in court multiple times. Let's not again keep beating a dead record. That issue has been settled.
The opposition parties are well within their rights of raising their concern. You cannot take that right away.
Fine, you raise the concern. But then it's like you're saying that having this dinner is very lavish and anti-poor, but I want to be invited to it also.
No.
But if it's a bad thing, why do you want to be invited to it?
Yes, I'm coming to that. Once the government has gone ahead,
then we might as well be there.
Project of No, the parliament is meant. The parliament is.
Feeta kata to sab mein bata.
The parliament is meant for every single member of parliament and the political party that they represent.
But madam, that is exactly what was being argued when you were opposing the Central Vista and the Parliament building. It was being known. It was being called as Modi Mahal. Now when Modi is inaugurating his Mahal, you are like, no, it is my Mahal also.
Are you trying to tell me that once this operation is shifted to the new parliament, will the members of parliament from opposition parties not go there, debate?
Then why did you oppose it? You are literally, this is like a parallel reality. You are saying the same things that the government said to you for all of last year.
A, the opposition party does not have a right to articulate their views. Are you saying that?
You articulated it repeatedly and you went to court. You tried to block it. The cost went up. Madam, leave everything else aside. You know, it's great to have freedom of speech and articulate your views. But when you went to court, do you know that one of the arguments, and a solid one at that, was that you were causing a loss to the exchequer. You were taking money from the pockets of people like Ratan Sharda and I, because you were ensuring that there would be cost overruns. If something could be made for 2 rupees, it would be made for 10 rupees because you're like, stop it, halt it, delay it. That's the thing. And now when it has been happening, when the court cleared it, when it has been made in 1 year, you're like, I also want to be there.
Can I ask you something? Does the parliament only belong to the current ruling dispensation and current government, or does it belong to all the parties? Please answer in yes or no.
No, it doesn't belong to ruling dispensation.
It belongs to all members of parliament.
Great.
So if it does, should it not be more graceful for a person in a position of power and responsibility to extend the courtesies up to the opposition parties to decide whether they want to send representatives or whether they do not want to be part of this? But would it not be more graceful and more appropriate for the government of the day to extend the information in the
That is the catch. They would be invited and they would say that they are not, and they want to grab headlines that cover.
No,
and then they will use that as an occasion.
It's a different political parties think differently, sir.
That's the catch situation. You said it. You have exposed the game. You wanted to be invited, and then you come out with a statement from opposition parties. No, we are boycotting it. I mean, it's a loss to the nation. But do something. If you want to get elected into the next parliament, go to the people instead of coming on television and screaming and shouting, you didn't get invited. But the minute we invite you, you would not come. These are all games. We have seen this long back. You said it and you stand exposed.
This is such a strange situation. And since Vishwajit Dev, you were talking about courtesies and democratic, behavior, etc. Let me quote to you just a few of the reports. On the 22nd of June 2021, West Bengal governor slams Mamata Banerjee government for breach of protocol by officials. Then you have in 2022, 27th of January 2022, Leader of Opposition in West Bengal Assembly, Shubhendu Adhikari, questioned why Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee breached protocol by not receiving governor during his arrival at Republic Day parade. You throw protocol to the winds and then you say, why did he not invite us? This is such a frivolous, petulant thing to do.
Please, first of all, let me reply.
Yes.
You have put to me several questions. Just let me reply. First of all, the governor of West Bengal. Please don't talk about the governor of West Bengal. He is not a governor of West Bengal. He is the mouthpiece of BJP.
What?
Sitting in Raj Bhavan. Sir,
you literally are sitting and denigrating the governor and you're talking about graciousness.
He is acting.
5 seconds ago you said there should be graciousness and then you have dismissed the constitutional head of state as a mouthpiece of BJP, who has famously been called uncle by your member of parliament also, by the way.
He is a spokesperson of BJP, sitting in the Raj Bhavan. He is doing something for BJP.
Exposed
in Bengal.
This is graciousness exposed.
Number one. Number two. You are talking about courtesy. What did the Prime Minister do when he came here in Bengal for campaign in the elections, in the assembly elections? He taunted Mamata Banerjee, saying, Didi, oh Didi, and the people rejected. The people did not like.
At least he called her Didi.
What is the harm in
A very senior lady politician called Amit Shah a fat man.
BJP under the leadership.
Sir, if we really start talking about grace during elections,
was thrown away from
the Home Minister of the country was called a fat Gujarati. But anyhow, we will let it be. At least it's nice to see a token of appreciation and enthusiasm. Final word from you, Ratan Sharda, from people who were otherwise opposed. At least they like what they see.
See, let us not mix up election season as a serious protocol issue. You remember a plane was bought by Manmohan Singh ji, but he lost the election and Modi ji is using the plane. These people have a big trouble. Mamata Banerjee was so arrogant, she declared herself chancellor of all the Bengal universities. Imagine. That is not a breach of protocol. These Congress could not decide on the war memorial for decades together. They could not decide on the empty canopy for decades together. This government takes the decision, they say, oh my God, this government pushing through. This Sansad is not meant for Mr. Modi or BJP. Remember, this is democracy. Any person can win election.
Yes.
Any person can go there. So stop behaving as if you are always defeated. Permanent is there for life. He doesn't work like that. Looking at 200 years ahead, you are looking 70 years back, supporting colonial buildings which have lost all
well,
their
and the great thing about democracy and an argumentative democracy that we have is that people also suddenly turn to appreciate what they had opposed, and yet our democracy survives and thrives. Let's leave it at that. This is Sabki Sansad. Thanks very much, all gentlemen. Meeta Chakravarti for joining me.